Hi there, this is Estelle. Today I have a very special guest and her name is Spencer. We've been working together for about 3 years and she is in charge of editing and reviewing our content and I think she is the perfect consultant. Could you introduce yourself to our subscribers and viewers?
Yes, of course. First of all, hello everyone. It's so nice to meet you. My name is Spencer McKenna. I'm an English fluency consultant. I've published 3 books for English learners and I have my own YouTube channel and Instagram to help Koreans who are learning English.
Mm-hmm. And I know you have another special job. You're a model, right?
Back in the day, not recently. I shot a commercial for Samsung maybe 4 years ago. It was a good experience.
I still remember your very curious look. Like, what is in there?
Yeah. So I'm not a good actress, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm. But today, she's here to share her tips to learn language. I heard 4 languages, right? What languages have you studied before?
Yes. So when I was very young, elementary school, I studied Spanish. And then I learned French in high school for 4 years. In university, I studied Russian for 2 years. And then I switched to Korean. And I've been studying Korean for over 10 years now.
And I wonder how you started learning Korean because you started before K-pop and Korean wave is very huge and worldwide. How did you decide to focus on it?
My brother was studying Japanese, my friend was studying Chinese, and I wanted to do something different. So I just tried it without a lot of expectation and I really loved it. So I kept going.
You went to one of the fine universities in America, right?
Yeah, it's a great school, University of Michigan.
And what did you major in?
So I double majored in comparative literature, 비교 문학, and also Korean language.
What did you learn in your first major, comparative literature? Is it related to Korean?
Sure. So you read 2 different countries, 2 different languages, literature. So in my case, I was reading Korean literature in Korean and also English translation both. So I really enjoyed it.
Can you speak Korean a little bit about how you studied it?
Yeah, 그럼요. 저는 일단 미국에서 시작했는데 한국어 배울 수 있는 좋은 프로그램이 있어요. 미국에서 그거 좀 찾기 어렵지만 미시간 대학교는 워낙 그런 좋은 수업 많으니까 그렇게 시작했고 1년 동안 그렇게 공부하다가 저는 연세 대학교 교환학생으로 왔어요. 그때는 어학당 월요일부터 금요일까지 맨날 한 3시간, 4시간 수업을
하루 3-4시간씩
3-4시간 수업을
우리한테도
듣고.
쉽지 않은 건데.
쉽지 않아요. 그거 다른 수업도 들으면서 동시에 하고
진짜 집중 공부였네요. 한국어 집중
완전
공부.
인텐시브하게.
그렇게 우리도 해야 돼. 한 1년은.
그거는 정말 도움이 많이 되었고 계속 그냥 혼자 좀 공부도 하고 나중에 한국으로 이사 왔을 때 그때는 조금 더 본격적으로 한국어 능력 시험을 위해서 공부 시작해서 조금 더 난이도 있는 어휘 그리고 난이도 있는 그런 passage 같은 거, 기사 같은 거 이해할 수 있게 되고 뭐 에세이 쓰는 것도 배우고 그렇게 꾸준히 하고 왔습니다.
Like we study basic English first and then intermediate and advanced. When I teach English, I always say Korean and English are really different. It's kind of an opposite language. And do you also feel so? Feel the same?
Yeah, they're very, very different. But one good thing about learning Korean is it's very logical. Like the word.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Is Korean logical?
I think Korean's very logical. I mean, the alphabet is very easy to learn quickly. Hangul is easy to learn quickly.
So when we learn English, the hardest thing for Korean speakers can be the different word order.
Yeah.
For example, Korean has subject, object, and verb. Sentence structure,
Right.
But the English is like a subject, verb, and object.
Right.
So what was the most difficult thing you faced when you studied Korean?
But for me, the things that are still difficult are particles.
Particle, 조사, 한국어로
Yeah,
조사.
yeah.
있는 이가.
That's still really hard.
Is it still difficult for
Sure,
you?
yeah, sure.
Could you give us an example?
Yeah, so I talked about my friend studied Chinese. That's why I chose Korean instead. 제 친구는 중국어를 배웠어요. Right, so we can say it that way. Or 제 친구가 중국어를 배웠어요.
제 친구는 제
Yeah.
친구가.
Yeah.
So what is the nuance difference? And
Yeah.
you can't feel it. Maybe you've learned it from
Yeah.
teachers, but maybe teachers can't explain very well. It's very slight nuance difference.
Yeah.
And Korean is my mother language, so I don't know the difference actually, but I've just learned it from Korean YouTube that teaches Korean, and they said when you use 는, you can compare to others. Like one of my friend learned Japanese, but the other friend learned Chinese. 제 친구가. So when you use 가, you don't need to compare to others. How about pronunciation and sound?
Yeah, that's also very difficult. I think many Korean English learners will be able to relate to this. In English, there's L and R, and they're very different. And it's hard for many people learning English to pronounce it clearly, right? It's similar. The liet is also difficult to pronounce, especially when there is like a double liet very close to each other and a lot of 모음 소리 like vowels. So an example is 어울려요.
어울려요. 어렵다. 어울려요.
Yeah.
어울려. 한국 사람이 하기도 어려운데요.
Yeah.
어울려요.
Yeah.
You have to train your tongues and your
Yeah.
mouth, and you have to use different parts in your mouth. It's like exercise
Yeah.
to be used to it. And I also want to ask you about how to memorize all of the tons of Korean words. There are so many.
This is helpful for me learning Korean, but I think it will be helpful for you learning English too. If you read some article where you're learning vocabulary, I highly suggest searching for that word like online on some online dictionary and seeing example sentences, similar words, antonyms, so opposite words, and studying those together can also be really helpful and help you remember. Lastly, using it in your own sentence.
Next question is, why do you think Koreans feel learning English is so hard? Why do you think Koreans think English is so difficult?
I think the number one reason is the pressure because everybody has to do it. It's not a choice. And they feel like they have to be perfect. Right, for the test as well.
People think English is no fun.
No fun.
But you have to make it hella fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you should find some way to make it hella fun. Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Good student, right?
Yeah.
And didn't you feel any pressure?
Thankfully, I didn't feel a lot of pressure. The reason was it was my choice to study Korean completely. And even though I also took like the Korean test as well, it was my choice. So I was choosing to have that pressure. So I just tried to enjoy it as much as possible.
So you have to find a fun way to learn English, right?
Right. And that's the same for all languages. Yeah.
Do you think there are any other reasons?
Yeah, why learning English is hard for Koreans? Definitely. I think grammar is hard for a lot of Koreans. I will say especially prepositions, 전치사. There are
Like
so
about
many.
46 prepositions.
Yeah, about, for, during, on, in, at.
Yeah.
So many. And because it connects to verbs, 동사,
Phrasal verb.
it becomes phrasal verbs. So those are difficult, I think, for people learning English as well. And of course, 관사, articles, are difficult.
So when we speak Korean, we don't need to think very much about how many they are, because in Korean, plural and singular are not that important.
Yeah.
But so we don't say 하나의 컴퓨터, 두 개의 컴퓨터들. In English, we have to say a computer, two computers.
Yeah, it's really important to have the correct number, and then also if it's general, it's if it's specific, it's the. There are a lot of rules about using articles.
I have a last question. Beyond the language itself, we feel it's hard to keep studying English, and many people set the New Year's resolution and they think like, oh, I will master English this year, and they studied only a month in January and then forget about it, and next year they set another New Year's resolution about English. So I want to talk about the habit and also slump. And have you ever experienced slump in your Korean learning journey?
Of course. I mean, I think everyone experiences some slump at some point. And this isn't just even for learning a language, it's also for like fitness goals too. It's the same thing. So, I mean, I've been there. I totally understand. A piece of advice that I give to my students who are experiencing some kind of slump with learning English is to first clarify their goal when they don't know why they're doing something, but they feel like they have to do it. So it can kind of be like an endless thing that they hate to do. So having a goal.
Do you have any goal about Korean?
Yeah, so I also got into a little bit of a slump with learning Korean. So I decided that learning Hanja will be really helpful for me because I can understand vocabulary more easily. And then I just think Hanja is like really cool as well. So my current goal, which I don't have a clear deadline, but I need to set a deadline, is studying Hanja and maybe getting like 4급 on the test for that.
We have to study hard. Even Spencer learned Hanja.
I need to.
We only study English. I think we have to overcome slumps and to keep learning, keep studying English until we achieve the goal.
Yeah. And besides having a goal, I think it's also really important to enjoy the journey and not only be focused on the goal, which can make you feel exhausted, right? So
yeah, because it's a very long journey.
Yeah, right. Since you're going to be doing it for a long time, like throughout your life, it's good to be able to find ways that you like to study. Watching YouTube, watching Netflix, something that's enjoyable, it's important, I think.
네, 오늘 이렇게 스펜서 선생님께서 한국어 공부를 어떻게 해오셨는지 우리에게 이제 얘기를 해주셨는데 마지막으로 보시는 분들께 또 특히 영어 공부하는 분들이 많이 보실 거라서 응원의 메시지 한마디 해주세요.
네, 일단 에스텔쌤에게 저는 먼저 초대해주셔서 너무 영광이고 그리고 너무 오늘의 촬영 너무 즐거웠습니다.
네.
그리고 보고 계신 분들에게 제가 하고 싶은 말은 그 영어를 배우는 과정 조금 재밌게 했으면 좋겠고 포기하지 마시고 그리고 너무 완벽하게 하려고 하지 않아도 되니까 차근차근 맨날 조금씩 늘으면 된다고 생각합니다.
네, 에스텔 잉글리시 유튜브랑 스펜서쌤 유튜브를 보면서 책도 보면서 그렇게 공부하시면 될 것 같아요. 그러면 오늘 영상은 여기까지 하도록 할게요. 수고 많으셨어요.
네,
감사합니다.
수고하셨습니다. 감사합니다.